Have you ever had one of those chapters that you just knew something was wrong with it, but you didn't know what it was, and nobody knew what it was, but you had to fix it because it needed to be in the book? Welcome to Chapter 1 in the Shadow Phoenix saga. Let's talk about it.
I have something to say.
Hello everybody, my name is Charlie, and welcome to my channel. I am a non-binary sci-fi fantasy writer, very heavy on the fantasy right now. And yeah, when I was writing Raid, I knew when I finished this chapter that something was just not quite right with it, but it was a zero draft. Things are often rough in a zero draft. I'll get it in the edit. And it's very easy to tell ourselves, yeah, I'm gonna get that in the edit. So I went through, I finished the book, came back and started the edits. No, there's something wrong with this chapter, but I don't know what it is. And I couldn't figure it out. So I'll just edit the rest of the book and then I'll come back to it. And so I edited the rest of the book and I came back to it and it was still not right. I couldn't figure out what it was. I could not put my finger on it. I couldn't figure out what it was. And so I was like, well, I'm going to do alpha and beta reads for this book, so I'll send it out. And I did. I sent it out to my alpha and beta readers, and they all came back that there's something weird in chapter 1. We all highlighted the same portion of it, but yeah, it didn't work, and we couldn't quite put our finger on it. What was wrong with it? And we went back and forth, and I changed a lot, and we figured out little things, but it never quite fixed it. Like, maybe if this was done a little bit better, maybe if that was done a little bit differently, maybe if this happened before that happened, blah, 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 blah. You know, we tinkered around with it and worked on it until it did improve, but it didn't fix the problem. And so I thought to myself, well, I'm hiring Rose City Editing, and we're going to see what they say. Let's send it off to the editors. And I sent it off to the editors, and Meadow graciously was reading through the book and messaged me back, there's something wrong with chapter 1, but I can't quite put my finger on it. And I just cackled. I sat at my desk just laughing because we all saw it. We all saw what was wrong, but it was one of those like elusive things that it was a feeling. There was a disturbance in the force. Something was wrong with this chapter, but we couldn't figure out what it was. And so we were going back and forth trying to figure out exactly what it was that was wrong. And I started reading the fantasy fiction formula. And I got into the chapter about character introductions. And that's primarily what this chapter is. We meet most of our cast in chapter 1. With a few exceptions, but we meet most of the cast in chapter 1. And I read through her explanation on how to do character intros. And I was like, well, maybe that's what it is. Maybe I messed up on the character intros. Let's try one of her exercises. And I'll be honest, the wording didn't change that much. The text didn't change all that much. It was maybe a 200 word edit that got inserted in. Just a little thing that got added in that came out of doing that exercise. And I handed it back and that feeling went away. And what it was the characters just weren't connecting right. And it was difficult to see exactly how to fix it without being overly verbose and really stretching the chapter out. And neither of those things needed to happen. It's just I did not mechanically introduce the characters in a way that was conducive to the story that I was telling. And this little tweak fixed it. It fixed it. That made me very happy. It made me ever so happy that we were able to figure it out. And so the moral of the story here, as far as all that goes, is if you're working on your book, if you're working on your story and you hit one of those moments where you're just like, why isn't this working? It might be something so subtle that you're just so close to that it's hard to see. With some effort, with some craft work behind you, maybe you'll find it and fix it and smooth it out. And I'm glad that we did. And I hope that you agree that the chapter works now, but it was a real struggle to get here. So I'd actually like to talk with y'all a bit about chapter 1, if you don't mind. So I'm going to go into spoilers for chapter 1 of Raid, book 0 in the Shadow Phoenix Saga Offer of Gain. So if you haven't read it, it's up on Kindle Vella right now. Depending on when you're watching this, the actual book may be out for you to pick up. The Kindle book may be out for you to pick up. So definitely read before you go on if you're averse to spoilers, but I will be talking about some spoilers from this point on. Okay? All right? You have been warned. All right. It was really tricky in this chapter to introduce Maeve, because you have to understand Maeve and her relationship to the crew and how she feels about everything that's going on for the entire book to work. Maeve is the main character in the book, Maeve Lambourne, Maeve Ann Lambourne, because I don't think her full name ever gets said in the book, but her middle name is Anne. Maeve is so important to understand. So I wanted you to get to know her quickly and get a sense of her before you met Garland. Garland Mcgrath, one of the shadiest characters I think I have ever written. Like, this book only just barely touches the shady slipperiness that is Garland. And to clear the elephant out of the room, yes, the name Garland is an homage to the Final Fantasy games, because Garland is generally one of the settings in those worlds, in those games. Sometimes even the name of one of the characters, often Sid's last name. And I wanted to make an homage to him because he feels it just felt appropriate for him. So Garland Mcgrath, this slimy man who comes in and is fake in every possible way. He isn't nice because all of his niceness is a facade. He isn't bumbling because all of that is part of his facade. He reveals nothing about himself. And I love how Maeve sees right through him and sees what he's doing and who he is, that he's not a trustworthy character. But he's offering a lot of money, and she needs that. They rescued the Buttercup as a scuttled ship. I mean, it shipwrecked, and Sebastian and Harley found it when they were kids, and it was kind of anytime they were in port, they would sneak down and do repairs on this ship, and eventually claimed salvage rights on it and rebuilt it so that it was seaworthy. But it's not in the best condition. Like, they're just getting started on their career, and they need the money. They need the money for the armaments, with the Descendians coming up from the south and the threat that they pose as they are trying to enforce their empire on the Savras archipelago, and all of the other concerns that they have with the other privateers that are out there. They need to be able to defend themselves. They also need to be able to put food on the table and pay for supplies so that they can take the voyages that they need to make more money. She really feels this pressure to take care of everyone on the crew, and I feel that as a small business owner. I really, really do. Just the sheer struggle that she has to go through of, I know that there's a trick here. I know that this is not above board in some way, shape, or form. But we could use that money. We could use that money. It would really go a long way. I mean, that's a lot of money for one voyage, for one ostensibly simple voyage. And I feel like that is, at least in my life, in my experiences, how the devil shows up in your life, right? You just need that one thing, and maybe it'll make things better. But you just need that one thing, and then there they are with that one thing.
Hi, here's the one thing. Would you like to have it?
What's the catch?
I never said there was a catch. You said there was a catch. No. Did you need it?
And this is the position that she finds herself in when she returns to the crew, when she returns to the Buttercup to tell the crew about the prospective mission, which Garland has already assumed she's going to take. And of course, the crew jumps on it, and we'll see what happens when they talk to Sebastian in the next chapter. But yeah, I feel her pain. Like, sometimes you have to do things that you don't feel are quite above board. And are you willing to take that risk? Are you willing to do that? Well, she needs to take care of her people, and this seems to be the best way for her to take care of her people. And of course, we get to meet Crane and Harley and Jade in this chapter, and I hope you really like them. I hope you like them so much. We get to meet Gumrath for the first time. We get to meet Dreamclaw for the first time. I really want a Dreamclaw plushie. I talk about this a lot. I really need a Dreamclaw plushie. He makes me very, very happy. And no spoilers, but there's a scene coming up in a future chapter that everyone who's read the book so far has immediately messaged me about, that they really love, that involves him. So can't wait to talk about that. But yeah, what would you do? What would you do if somebody came to you and said, you know, that thing that you need?
Here you go. Here it is.
That's hard to say no to. That's really hard to say no to. And Maeve doesn't want to. But maybe Sebastian will say no. he is more business minded. Maybe he'll see the danger in this. Maybe he won't want to raid a monastery. Because, I mean, who wants to raid a monastery? We'll see. I hope you're enjoying the story. It is available on Kindle Vella. If you're watching this after December 9th, it will be available as an ebook as well. So definitely let me know what you think down in the comments. What did you think about this chapter? Have you ever had a chapter that you struggled with like this one? I would really like to know your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video if you think people would like it. It really does help out a lot. Share the book if you've read it. Let people know about it. That helps out immensely. And until next time, let's go out there and do what we can to stop Asian hate. To remind the idiots who do not believe the Black Lives Matter, the Black Lives Matter, the Black Trans Lives Matter, and the trans identities are magical. And until next time, may you have the courage to write your dreams into reality. And don't forget to have the fun. Bye.